Good morning, everyone. This is the last chapter for your final exam, and here we are going to study about lesson number 7 of history about the weavers, iron smelters, and the factory owners. This chapter I have divided into two parts. In the first part, we shall be dealing with the half of the chapter, and in the next part, we shall be dealing with the rest of the chapter. Well, we shall study about the crafts and industries of India during British rule. In this chapter, mainly we are going to discuss about the crafts as well as the industries during the British rule in our country. What was the development, what was the progress of the crafts and industry in India during the British rule, that we are going to study in this lesson. Mechanized production of cotton textile made Britain the foremost industrial nation. We already got about the system of industrialization, and because of this industrialization, when the different types of machines were used for the purpose of production, the cotton textile industry in Britain was very much developed, and that's why Britain, it became the foremost, or it became one very famous country or famous industrial nation all over the world. In 1850s, Britain came to be known as the workshop of the world because of the development of cotton textile industry as well as the other industries in Britain. Britain was given the name of the workshop of the world. That means it was the most developed nation among all the other nations in the world. The second point that we are going to study here is Indian textiles and the world market. What was the condition of Indian textiles in the world market? Around 1750, before the British conquered Bengal, India was the largest producer of cotton textile. Remember one thing, that before the British, they conquered our country, that is India, it was the largest producer of cotton textile in the entire world. India was conquered by the British. The British, they came actually in the year of 1600 AD as traders, that is the East India Company. They came to our country in the year of 1600 AD, but at that time they came only for the purpose of business, but slowly and steadily they conquered our country. We already discussed in our earlier chapters. Anyways, before the British rule, before the British conquered our country, India was the largest producer of cotton textile in the entire world. Indian textiles had long been renowned for their fine quality. The quality of Indian textile, whatever was produced by the Indian weavers, they had fine quality, and because of this fine quality, they were famous all over the world. They were traded in Southeast Asia and West and Central Asia. The Indian textile, they had large market in different countries of Southeast Asia, in the West Asia as well as in the Central Asia. So that was the condition, or that was the demand for the Indian textile in the world market. Now, the next point that we are going to study is here, Indian textiles in the European markets. We have discussed about the world market. Now, what was the demand of the Indian textiles in the European markets? In the year 1720, the British government enacted a legislation banning the use of printed cotton textiles in England. Actually, when the Indian textiles, they had got huge demand in the world market, the traders in Europe, they were in a problem, and that's why they demanded the European government to ban the import of Indian textiles. And that's the reason why in the year of 1720, the British government, they passed one law, or they passed one legislation which banned the use of printed Indian cotton textile in England. Means in the year of 1720, the British government, they passed a law that Indian cotton textile could not be imported to England, and this act was known as the Calico Act. Question may come, the Calico Act was passed in which year? It was passed in the year of 1720, and it was mentioned in the Calico Act that the Indian cotton textile could not be imported to England. Again, in the year of 1764, the spinning jenny was invented by John Key. Spinning jenny, about spinning, it was already explained in your geography chapter. It's a process by which that cloths are generally produced. In the year of 1764, spinning jenny was invented by John Kay. John Kay was a scientist who invented the spinning jenny. Before the spinning jenny was invented, cloths were generally woven by hand, but now the spinning jenny or this machine could be used for the production of clothes, and this increased the productivity. You know that manually we cannot produce much, but if we use the machines, with the help of the machines we can produce more. And when the spinning jenny was invented, the productivity was increased. Again, the invention of steam engine. The steam engine, it was invented by Richard Arkwright in the year of 1786. In the year 1786, when the steam engine was invented by Richard Arkwright, this also revolutionized cotton textile weaving. Now, the spinning jenny was used as well as steam engine also was used for the production of cotton textile in Britain. After getting the Diwani right, the company collected the revenue from peasants and used this to buy Indian textiles. About Diwani rights, it was already explained earlier. Before the East India Company got the Diwani rights, they used to bring money from their own country and they used to purchase the Indian textiles. But after the Diwani right was achieved by the East India Company, now the company started to collect the revenue from the peasants, and this revenue was used for purchasing the Indian textiles. That means the Indian money was used for purchasing the Indian textiles. So that was a demand of Indian textile in the European markets, or because of the Indian textile development, the European market also expanded. The next point that we are going to study is here, who were the weavers. We can say weavers were the communities who were specialized in weaving. Weavers belong to communities that specialized in weaving. Weaving means producing clothes. The communities which were expert in weaving, they were known as the weavers. Some examples I have given here. The Tanti weavers of Bengal. Tanti were the communities who were expert in weaving and they were living in Bengal. The Julas, they were living in North India. The Devangs, they were from South India. So these are some example of the weavers or the weaving communities. And some processes are involved in the system of weaving. The first stage of production was spinning. In geography it was already explained. Still, the first stage of production of cloth was spinning. And when the spinning was over, the thread was woven into cloth by the weaver. So first of all, the spinning process started, and when the spinning is over, the threads are already made. Then the threads are generally woven or given the shape of the different types of cloths by the weavers. Now you can see here we have got two works, one is spinning and one is weaving. The spinning was mostly done by women. It was a duty or it was the work of the women to spin, or the work of spinning is done by the women, while weaving was generally done by the men. So about weavers, it is already told that weavers are the communities who are expert in weaving, and in the weaving two processes are involved. One is spinning, another one is weaving, that is making the clothes. Spinning is generally done by the women and weaving was generally done by the men. The last part of today's video, the point is the decline of Indian textiles. You know, and we already got that Europe or Britain, it became the workshop of the world, means because of the industrialization, or we can say because of development of different types of technological advancements, Britain started to produce more clothes than India, and that was the main reason we can say why the Indian textiles started to decline. The development of cotton industries in Britain affected textile producers in India in several ways. We already got that in Britain, the producers of cotton textile, they started to use the spinning jenny, even they started to use the steam engine. And as we know that manually we can produce less, and with the help of the machines we can produce more. So when the producers of cotton textile in Britain, they started to produce cloth with the help of the machines, the Indian cotton producer or textile producer, they suffered a lot. Here I have taken two reasons. The first reason is Indian textile now had to compete with British textile in the European and American markets. Now the Britons, the producers of cotton textile in Britain, they started to produce more and more clothes, and that's why before the industrialization, Britain could not compete with the Indian goods. Indian cotton textile had monopoly all over the world, but now India cotton textile, they had to compete with the European market as well as the American market. And because of this competition, and since they were using the mechanized process, the Indian cotton textile, they suffered. The second reason is exporting textile to England became difficult since very high duties were imposed on Indian textile imported into Britain. The next reason is a very high duty were imposed. High duty means high tax. If the Indian textile would have been imported into Britain, they had to pay huge taxes. And because of this high tax, the Indian cotton textile producers also suffered. However, handloom weaving did not completely die in India. No doubt, Indian cotton textile now had to compete in the European and the American markets, as well as they had to pay a very high tax. But the handloom weaving in our country completely did not die. Why it was? This was because some types of clothes could not be supplied by machines. You know one thing, no doubt machines can produce more, but some things are there, some qualities are there which could not be produced by machines. The Indian handloom industry or the handloom weaving, they used to produce Indian saris with borders as well as different types of traditional woven patterns, and these saris with border as well as traditional woven patterns could not be produced by the machines, and that's why the Indian handloom weaving or handloom industry still had demand in the world market. So that was the condition of the cotton textile industry in our country during the British rule. Please go through the chapter, watch the video, and if any doubt is there, get it cleared. In the next part of this video of this chapter, we shall be discussing the rest of the chapter. Thank you very much.